Antiques on York in Rockville, Indiana, 100 West York Street, celebrating our 10th year in business.
Access. All right, well, time to call the meeting to order. It's the new year, election of officers for 24.
The most we retain the same officers.
Second.
What about discussion? Do we have discussion?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Congratulations.
You too. You too.
You have before you your annual appointments. The ones are in red are the ones that we need to address.
Except Sherry.
Yeah, I forgot to.
Yeah, Sherry Paxton is already
Yeah, she goes till next year.
appointed till next year for the library. If anybody wants us to suggest changes or additions or subtractions, feel free. Katie has appointed or is requesting Kim Shorter again and Derek Davis for her Boa board. Does anybody have any changes you want, or is everybody fine with that, or?
Looks good to me.
Well, we can just do a blanket appointment if you would all like.
That'd be fine. I'll move we keep the appointments the same.
Second.
Motion been made and second to retain the same appointments for 24, all in favor?
Aye.
We do need to adopt the annual meeting schedule. Still be the second Thursday of the month, 9 a.m. Budget hearings are tentatively set for August 15th, but subject to change. Any questions about that?
I'd move the meeting schedule be approved as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the meeting schedule. All in favor?
Aye.
Department head comments. Katie?
All's going well. We finished up our cyclical, like I mentioned in the last meeting. We are starting new construction. She is currently in Washington and Marshall. And we have 258 new construction permits or revisits from last year that weren't 100% complete. Otherwise, it's all going well. Ratio study started. Sales files getting ready to go into the state. We're on schedule.
Personal property coming out before long.
I'm gonna wait a little bit to send out the letters this year. Anybody under 80, if you read those of you that get it, if you read my letter last year, those under 80 will not be getting a letter this year because they do not have to file last year. It was stated if they're under 80, they will not get a letter this year. So the over 80s we will be sending out, but I'm gonna wait more towards the end of February, 1st of March, because a lot of times this last year we had a lot of people put it on the desk, forget about it, etc. But pop-in should be opening up shortly. It's not open currently, but it will be opening up for the online filing shortly.
Kim?
Well, we're trying to get 2023 balanced out. We balance, but we're having issues with the financial systems and waiting for them to get that figured out. And we got new buggy plates this year, and they're much thicker than the older ones and heavier. So we just can't wait to see how that rips through our postage. But other than that, we're good.
Okay. Sheriff?
I don't have much. I just have my contract for this year. If you guys want to sign it, I'd appreciate it.
Bring it up and take a look.
Yeah, let's approve that.
Don't read it. Just sign
Oh,
it.
yeah. I'm gonna wanna make a couple of changes, isn't it? All right.
Just sign it, huh?
Just sign it.
Take some zeros off that way.
Yeah, I have to make sure that it looks,
Yeah.
Just the date change and the,
and the we did increase your salary for you. You're welcome.
appreciate that.
I was gonna say, how nice of us.
You're welcome. So same contract otherwise, like we've always had.
Exactly.
So we'll have to have a motion in a second for me to sign that. Or I can move on. Either way, it doesn't really matter to me.
Anytime, man.
Make a motion to do it.
That awkward silence is intentional there, Sheriff. I'll
Second.
make a second, I'll second.
All in favor to approve the sheriff's contract?
Okay, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Sure.
Give that little empty stomach feeling.
I just figured that one. But they don't, for me,
He's soiled the contract.
we'll just put it in there, and maybe Meese can figure that out. You want that, you probably want this back, don't you? Oh, Meese is not signed it, so
Yeah, I'll take it.
Just make sure I get a copy.
Yep, you guys sign it too.
You'll have to sign too.
Thank you.
No problem. So that was the end of your report.
That's it.
Okay. Paula? Welcome.
Thank you. So hello from Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita and the rest of the office.
Oh, get that.
I'm bearing gifts.
I do. It's your taxpayer dollars.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh man, Butler will think he's important now.
I have some unclaimed. I've got a file in it. In fact,
Me too. Thank you.
I will tell you that unclaimed process
Thank you, man.
is way too complicated.
That's what I thought, it's not even worth doing.
Just what you wanted to hear.
Well, I'm going to talk about that too. But my name is Paula Copenhaver. I am an outreach representative with the Attorney General's office. And so thank you for letting me come today and share what it is exactly that we do at the Indiana Attorney General's office. First, let me tell you a little bit about the Attorney General. Under Attorney General Rokita's leadership, the ultimate mission of the office is to protect the rights, liberties, and safety of all Hoosiers. We function as the official law firm for the government of the state of Indiana. And we work to protect Hoosiers through our Consumer Protection Division, Unclaimed Property Division, which I heard mention of already, and the Medicaid Fraud Unit, and we do a lot more. With nearly 20,000 active cases at any given time, our office defends laws passed by the legislature and challenges federal overreach harmful to Hoosiers. We protect consumers from illicit business practices, cybersecurity threats, data privacy violations, and ID theft. We have obtained nearly $1 billion in settlements for Hoosiers, including hundreds of thousands from annoying and illegal robocallers. The office returns over $1 million, actually I think last year it's $1.5 million in unclaimed property to Hoosiers every week. So $1.5 million returned back to Hoosiers every week. And last year we achieved a record of returning $81 million. So since taking office, we have recovered $85.5 million from entities allegedly engaged in Medicaid fraud. We also handle more than 1,000 criminal and civil appeals cases each year, successfully upholding the convictions of child abusers, murderers, and rapists. Attorney General Rokita oversees a staff of over 400 people with one common purpose: serving Hoosiers with servants' hearts. Todd Rokita was elected in 2020 as Indiana's Attorney General, having earned the highest number of votes of any state officeholder in Indiana history. Attorney General Rokita has been a champion for Hoosiers while serving in the private sector as a U.S. Congressman, as Indiana's Secretary of State, and now as the state's Chief Legal Officer. In his current position, he continues to uphold the rule of law and protect Hoosiers from government overreach. He is a strong supporter of life and is an active fighter for our constitutional rights. Todd Rokita is known for his willingness to take a stand, never back down, and speak up for those who often feel like their voices are not represented on the news, in our schools, or in the corporate world. Our office follows this agenda, and we are always here when Hoosiers are in need. And that mission is what brings me here today to further talk about the office. So you mentioned unclaimed property, and it's a difficult process. Well, like I said earlier, $1.5 million a week is being returned to Hoosiers. So if you have an issue with it, in your bags there is an unclaimed property card, and there is a phone number at the bottom of that. And I would encourage you to call the office and talk to a live person, and they will help you work through your issues. And another part of the office that we do, and many of you may not know, I'll go back to unclaimed properties. Some of those proceeds are from stale dated checks that have never been cashed, insurance proceeds, like from the clerk's office, if bonds have been mailed out to somebody and it gets returned back to the office, and the office is required to hold it for 3 years, and then they turn it over to the Unclaimed Properties Division. So it is actually Hoosier's money sitting out there, and if it's not claimed within 25 years, those funds roll over into the state general fund. So that's why we promote unclaimed properties. Check your unclaimed properties. Go to indianaunclaimed.gov and do a search. I always tell people, search for your friends, for your family, whoever. And if they find it, then you can say, hey, you should get your money back. Let's go out to dinner since I told you about it, right? And so that's why we encourage people to go and find their money. It is theirs. Another part of the division that I spoke about was the Consumer Protection Division. I mentioned the robocallers. Have you ever received one of those phone calls about your car warranty? That's a robocall. And so we have been very active about taking those robocallers out. And if you do receive an unwanted phone call, there is a do not call list, and we encourage you to register your number on the do not call list. And if you receive those calls, get as much information as you can, and then file a complaint with the Consumer Protection Division. Because if nobody files complaints, then we don't have the information to actively go after them to pursue that. So I'm going to stop talking because I could talk some more, but if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. And if not, thank you all for serving. I come from county government, and so I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, public comments, Hamilton Center? No?
Any comments today?
No comments, all right.
Nice to see you here.
Okay, moving on. Approval of the minutes from prior meetings. You have Commissioner Council meeting and 2 council meetings.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. That was for all of them, I assume.
They're all in good shape.
All in favor?
Aye.
Transfers.
That's mine. I didn't budget enough for my dues. They said the rate stayed the same, but it's based on your salary, and I forgot I got a raise.
Okay. No problem.
Motion to approve the transfer from office supplies to dues for the auditor for $18.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the transfer. All in favor?
Aye.
Additional appropriations.
I put one on that probably shouldn't have been on.
We'll talk about that. 911, equipment, statewide 911 fund for equipment, $266,134. That was in our December meeting when he talked about that, right? Our normal one, some dispatching equipment, right?
Yeah.
Console, correct.
Council, yeah.
Correct, and we had given him the approval to submit that as an additional from the 911 fund. The next one is for the local health emergency preparedness fund. The administrator salary of $12,783.96, for Social Security of $1,026.75, and operating supplies of $2,740. This has obviously been a hot topic in this body a number of different times, and so when I saw this published, I reached out to the health board president to get some clarification on what was going on, and I had not heard anything in advance of it. So with that being said, we engaged in that conversation back and forth a number of times, and this would be to pay out the end of that function, that grant function for calendar year and our fiscal year here of 2023. That grant actually operates on a state fiscal year of July 1st to June 30th. So it doesn't appropriate all of the grant there would still be 6 months of this year that would be unappropriated in that grant money at this point, but this would address the end of 2023. I forwarded you all the email conversation back and forth with the health board president about this subject. So she has asked, the board has recommended approval of this additional appropriation.
Now, is this additional salary on
Yes.
top of the
It is.
salary? Okay.
And
And it's just because the money's there, it's not because of any additional
there's,
work or responsibilities?
It comes with its own set of responsibilities from what I understand, Tom.
the
Being the
reasons,
emergency preparedness coordinator for the county. But there is no necessarily any set work time associated between that and the other primary position.
and I tell you, the perimeters are easily skirted. And have been in the past. And this thing has been a thorn in my side for a good while. I know the board agreed to pay her out 23, right?
That was what I understood from the conversation.
And this
yes.
is that money from 23.
To Satan, this is to pay out through the end of 23. I will not sit here and say I know everything about it. I am just about as confused with this whole situation as anybody else here is. So
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
really all I have to say about it at this point.
It's just a salary because the money's there. That's pretty much what it boils down to. It's a grant that comes out with the state.
Well, I guess where I'm at on it is the board has now recommended it. I mean, if the board wouldn't recommend it, then I would suggest that we vote it down. But from my standpoint, and I agree with everything that's been said here pretty much, but, you know, the board has recommended this, and so I'm okay with it. Go ahead, no, I'm done.
For those of you that don't read their emails and stuff, the response I got back was, I've received the information regarding the appropriation request that the health registrar put forth on behalf of the emergency preparedness coordinator. In August of 23, the board approved a 6-month amount for this fund. The amount for the months of July of 23 through December of 23, that includes salary of $9,013, Social Security of $747, and supplies of $2,740. There were evidently 2 months that were unpaid from January through July in the amount of $1,885.48. Each month totaling $3,770.96. That would bring the total appropriation request up to $12,783.96 for salary if included, what the board actioned in August. The rest of this is just some commentary. It's not necessary.
So what's the total salary then for this individual with this included?
With that included,
60-some odd thousand.
getting me, I don't memorize everybody's salaries. The adopted salary for this position, for this individual from the environmental health specialist position for 2024 is $37,357. And then you could reasonably add another 20 to that, roughly, from this.
So is this gonna be the end of it, or are we gonna
Not
keep
the end.
facing the same
This will
thing?
be the end.
What I said, what we had discussed the last time this came up is that there were deliverables due to the health board regarding this capacity. Those deliverables at this point have still not been given to
That's
the health board.
according to the health.
According to the health board, that have not been received.
And yet
So the answer to that question in my mind, and like John said, I'm somewhat deferring to what the health board recommends here, but without the, some reasonable proof of the deliverables that board has asked for, I don't see there being any reason to go forward until that has been met. But I'm not involved with it on day in, day out basis, so.
If the board recommends that we pay it, that's fine, but shouldn't the board have received their deliverables before they recommended? I mean, that's the problem I have with it. Like I say, the deliverables, I question what that'll be anyway. I wouldn't mind just tabling that until we talk to some people. You got a problem with
It's certainly an option here.
Well, I'm just one of, you know, I don't even make motions, as you well know, so this is whatever you guys decide. I mean, we'll
Make a
see if
motion.
anybody wants to make a motion, why.
I'll make a motion we table that till next month, and
I'll second it.
we'll see.
Okay, well, I'll have a motion to table in a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Either yea or nay.
Aye.
Okay.
Let that be.
Well, then I guess we need, so what do you want us to do then? Maybe we ought to just have the health board president appear?
Yeah, let's see.
She needs to appear then.
Here in February.
Appear in February and answer these questions that the council has.
If they're not getting what they're asked for, then I question why they're.
Okay. She will need to appear and we will discuss it further.
We need to
Okay.
deal with 911 still.
Oh, I'm sorry. Glad you said that.
Yeah. I would make a motion to approve the additional appropriation for statewide 911.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the additional for 911. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, got it. Pay the jury. Oh, I skipped, oh yeah, we got that done. Pay the jury.
Make motion pay the jury.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to pay the jury. All in favor?
Aye.
No reappropriation of funds. You have in your packet the auditor, the cash flow statement from the auditor. The EMS, I think, is in there, and I think she emailed some of us too. Redevelopment.
Redevelopment met, well, it's Tuesday night, their organizational meeting. We retained our officers with the officers are, I was elected the president, Pratt was elected vice president, and Park Swain was elected the secretary. We also made a change to our legal services representative. Our redevelopment commission attorney for a long time has kind of begun to retire. So I recommended and we approved to retain Bob Clutter, who is our attorney, as the attorney for the redevelopment commission. So we did that, and then we spent the rest of the time talking about the READY grant opportunity and some of the projects that are looking to possibly be submitted for that. From a couple private ones, one in Montezuma, maybe possibly one here in town, in the town of Rockville, to the possibility of the town submitting a couple, for one for the east side of the square and another one for a piece of equipment. The possibility of the county submitting one for the bank building. And the possibility of the school at North Central Park submitting one for, I'll term it very bland because there is a lot they have still to do with this, but an early child care development situation, possibly preschool, possibly daycare, possibly a lot of different things that they're working on with that. So there is, we kind of just, it was really a meeting to kind of redevelopment commission to kind of help support anybody who wanted to come with their projects that would be submitted, and they're due by the end of the month. So time's ticking away on these things. So that was what we did.
Okay, planning and zoning.
The only we had was, right north of Belmore, 59, was to open up a small health food supplement store. Nice Amish fellow came in, and it's right north of KB there, the one that's on the west side. Wants to put up a small building out front, sell them out of his garage now, just kind of, he said he'd rather get in the retail business, so I went on to BZA and I think they approved it. And then that was it.
Solid waste.
Nothing to report?
Nothing to report. Courthouse security did not meet. Okay, so we have an amendment to the salary ordinance.
Yes. A couple, as I will often do, and anybody that's been around me in this budget, know I will make a mistake here and there, or a bunch. There were a couple mistakes on the salary ordinance. The first one is in the local public health services fund. In the additional compensation line of that fund, it was over approved. That individual is due, and per the longevity resolutions, $2,500 for this year, and it was adopted at $3,000, so that has been corrected, or will be corrected with this change. The other one is in the problem-solving court fund. That's the third probation officer. That's grant funded, and we had that over approved. If you have any idea how probation officer salaries work, there is a schedule that comes from the state. I don't remember exactly the group. It's basically the judges of the state of Indiana send out a minimum salary schedule for probation officers. We did not correctly do the calculation based upon years of service and the date of hire and so on. So we had adopted it at $49,193, which is where his salary will, on a rate where his salary rate will end up after he hits his anniversary date in October. But before that, he is due lesser of that. So once you calculate it out, it comes to $45,568. So we need to make this adjustment.
So basically a correction of errors.
Correction of errors. And I would amend the document in front of you to say the 2024 Parke County salary ordinance.
Okay, that is what is before you.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to amend the 24 salary ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
So Marianne, this will have to go to this SB published and then.
Send you one with a nice 4 on it instead of a handwritten one on it.
Okay, so old business, you gonna talk about encumbrances when they're due, or do you not wanna talk about
I
encumbrances?
don't know, hadn't thought about it, but
I'm getting them.
You're getting them? Okay, well.
would you set the due date for what?
What is it?
15.
15th of February.
Well,
January.
I had to have them in I want them into my office by January the 15th.
Oh, okay. That's fine, I'm fine with that. They sometimes kind of trickle in.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, just a reminder, hopefully people turn in their encumbrances. You're gonna talk about,
I want to speak a little bit about the Innkeepers distribution.
yep.
We adopted a couple ordinances last year, a memorandum of understanding with the CVC to address the legislation out of the last session of the General Assembly allowing us to increase our Innkeepers tax rate. So the EMA director did the calculations for the end of 23 on run data for his system. Worked it out with Commissioner Meese the other day and the CVC on the distribution amount that should come back to the county from this action. Now, there are some things we're learning through this process. Nothing about it is terribly straightforward in that the collection of this funding is strange, obviously, and then it comes to the treasurer, and then the treasurer sends it to the CVC, and the MOU states that they will pay back 25% of the total after the change. So the change we adopted was for July 1st. The state pushed back on that because we didn't give them 30 days, which made it effective August 1st. And then collections are in arrears, from what I understand, or by the tune of 3 months. So in order to then receive the money back to the county by the end of the year, you're talking about anything received up through November, and then you back that 3 months up, and you're talking about 1 month in this particular case. So the month of November is the collection month that will be affected in this, and then going forward, we're talking about 12 months forward, here out, straightforward, The rates, the increase is in there, and it's a pretty straightforward situation. Working that out with the CVC, we came up with $8,648.25 that will be deposited to the Home Rule Non-Reverting Fund for this purpose. And so therefore, I started working on the calculations per our MOU of that, and came out with the distribution by department based upon the stipulations of the MOU. So I gave each of the members the data set from the runs and a summary page that has the percentage of runs by department and the revenue amount that they would receive. I will still say this is tentative. I have not gone through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that every calculation is exactly right. I frankly haven't had time to get it ensure that I'm absolutely thrilled with it. And then I also included a letter that explains the process. This is new, it's the first time, and I will ask that we will send that out with the distributions. So what I'm asking of the members of the body here is to review this, take a look at it. If you see anything that you would suggest changing or whatever in the verbiage and so on, I would like to hear about it, because what I have asked, or what we will proceed to do here, is the auditor is now going to be collecting the information to pay them. We'll put in the claims to pay them once the money is in the fund, and the commissioners would be able to approve those claims in their first meeting in February, and we would be able to approve the appropriation of that fund in our meeting in February, and then allow her to distribute checks after that appropriation. So that would be February 8th, if I remember right, of what our next meeting is, so that they could go out to the departments and they can use them as they see fit. So, any questions?
So, go ahead.
So this is just for the month of November. Is it reasonable to assume?
No. No, it is not reasonable to assume that the number that this is going to collect on an annual basis is 12 times that. Because you have months, the way it works with tourism in our county is that you have months where there are very low occupancy rates, therefore low collections from it. And October, November, particularly October, obviously, is a very good month. The summer is better, of course. That's one of the things I wrote into this letter, to caution anybody to think, all right, next year we're going to get 12 times that. No, that's not rational. We did what we believe to be a calculation of this based off historical data, and expected it to yield somewhere in the $40,000 to $60,000 range on an annual basis in total. That's not 12 times that number, obviously. It may be more, I don't know, depends on how much occupancy is.
So it's a little hard to predict then exactly with
It
it.
still is, yes.
That's a good question. That's basically where I was going. Yeah, don't think that it's 12 times
Yeah.
that number.
Yeah, that's not, I'm cautioning anybody that listens to this and anybody that I've talked to, do not expect that to be, next year's number is, $8,700 times 12, or $8,600 times 12. That's, I hope it is, but I don't think it will be.
And then there's no strings attached to how those departments spend any of that money. I mean, the county has no say in that.
No, what we have done, and this was all part of the MOU, is that the runs do not include fire runs. Fire protection is a responsibility of the townships. But first response activities are not a responsibility of the townships. Now, they are welcome to fund that. That is allowable in statute at this point. But it is not their responsibility. What we're doing is attempting to fund that. Now, we would like to say that they will use it for better enabling their first response activities, but I can't say that it's not a wise move for one of these departments to buy fire hoses with it. Nor am I going to ask them what they're doing with it. The only exception in any of this, to all the rest, all these departments are getting the check to the department, with the exception of Rockville. Rockville does not have it, is not its own 501c3 or nonprofit entity. It is ran through the township office. That check will go to the Adams Township trustee, but they have already created a home rule non-reverting fund to house this money that will be used for first response activities for that fire department only. But the rest of them, it'll go straight to their departments, like as if they were holding a fundraiser or whatever. Instead of townships, which it muddles up the fire first response activity or whatever.
Basically, the whole thing, just get them a little help or.
I think you can be assured that they will, hopefully they will put it to a good use.
The range in this is $2,027 to the highest department, down to $418 to the lowest. It's simply based upon how active they are.
How close they are to the state park.
Well, and some of it is, but I mean, the one that has the highest run volume and run total to a state property is not the highest revenue one on here. Marshall goes more than anybody to a park, based on the run data.
Yep.
They go more than anybody. They're not the highest one on here. They're second.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, comment, Chris, did you have anything, or just?
No, I wanted to hear that.
Okay, all right, well. Anything else, anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Okay.